Hey, what's up everybody? Hammer Heart Metal Reviews here once again, and it is time for my absolute favorite video to do of the entire year. We are here to talk about my picks for albums of the year for 2025. What an absolutely great year for metal. And it's not even done yet. This is early December. It's maybe a little bit earlier than I would like to do this video. But as usual, I like to take a break over the last few weeks of the year and into the new year for holiday stuff and just generally to take a breather from YouTube. So I'm doing this a few weeks early. This is not going to have any December releases on my list, of course, because I haven't listened to a ton of December releases yet. There are actually a couple albums in December that I'm really anticipating. So if some things come out that maybe would have made this list, I might review them or do a little recap maybe in January about some of the albums in December that I might have missed. But for the purposes of today, we're just going to be talking about what my favorites of 2025 have been. In years past, at the end of the year, I did top 50 lists, my 50 favorite albums, but I've been feeling like that was too much to do this year, and because it's 2025, I just thought 25 is a great number for 2025. Top 25 of 25. So that's what I'm doing this year. I just really want to highlight the best of the best, in my opinion. Like I said, 25 is a really nice number. I will have some honorable mentions as well, probably about 10 honorable mentions. So you could think of this as like a top 35, but for the honorable mentions, those aren't going to be ranked. I'll just run through those ones pretty quickly before I get into the actual list of my ranked 25 favorite albums from the year. But before we actually get into my list, I just want to take a second and say cheers to you all. I'm going to take a nice chug of beer here. I'm going to be drinking throughout this video, and I encourage you to do the same at home as you are watching this video. I know I'm probably uploading this early in the morning, but save it for later. Grab a drink when you get home from work. Sit down and watch this and drink along with me. Have a sip at every album, whatever you feel like. Let's get wasted. Let's have a good time. But yeah, thank you for watching my videos throughout the year. I really appreciate all of you that subscribe to my channel, that comment on my videos. You know, it just makes it all worthwhile, and the amount of recommendations I've gotten from you viewers throughout the year is just astonishing as well. How many albums I would not have even discovered if it wasn't for you, and that's really what this is all about, is just exploring and discovering music, and hopefully I can bring some new albums to your ears as well from you watching me ramble on and on throughout the year. So cheers to you all. And in case you're wondering, I usually seem to get the question of what beer am I drinking? Well, today, for at least now, I've got one of my favorite breweries from up here in Winnipeg, Sukrum's Brewery. This is their flagship cult classic Pilsner. One of my favorite local breweries here for sure. So that's what I'm drinking. But go grab yourself one of your favorites, and we're just going to get right into this now. So like I said earlier, we're going to start with 10 honorable mentions. These are not ranked. These are things that almost made it into my list. They were in the mix, but ultimately I felt like maybe they weren't quite on the level of the top 25. So I'm not ranking these. I'm just going to go through these 10 alphabetically before we get into the top 25. So here we go. Honorable mentions. Aphonemer with Utopie. This is French symphonic, neoclassical, mellow death. This is just full of lush compositions. It's got the raspy female vocals with just superb instrumentation throughout. Easily my favorite melodeath album of the year. I don't have any in my top 25, but I wanted to give this one a mention, and that's kind of the reason I did some of these honorable mentions as well, to maybe spotlight some different subgenres that didn't quite crack my list, but that I still wanted to feature, at least to talk about what my favorites were. So yeah, Aphonemer definitely worthy of an honorable mention. Next honorable mention, Afski with the new album Fearless Scab. Probably mispronouncing that. I'm going to be mispronouncing stuff all day, so get used to it. But yeah, you might be surprised that Afski didn't actually make my top 25. I've been a big fan of this band for a long time. This is a one-man black metal band from Denmark. never misses with his discography, just putting out stellar album after stellar album. And this is another extremely well done album. It's such emotional black metal, yet it's still like it has furious moments and it's still full of yearning and just sadness at the same time. It's just executed to perfection. A really solid album. Was definitely in the mix for my top 25. Just missed out, but I wanted to talk about it anyways. Next up, Der Weg Inner Freiheit with the new album Innern. So this is some German black metal. This album is just very grandiose in scope. It almost has this like cinematic quality to it. It's just kind of got that like cinematic experience, if you will. It's got great riffs and it's not afraid to do some experimentation. It goes in many different directions to just really take this in as a full experience. It's got these little sprinkles of experimentation and different subgenre infusions in there as well. But all in all, a very solid black metal release. Next honorable mention, Epica with the new album Aspiral. So symphonic metal, not a genre I spend a ton of time in, but Epica is one of the genre greats from the Netherlands, if you're unfamiliar with them. And yeah, this is possibly one of their catchiest albums that they've ever done. It's got almost a poppy feel in parts, like big pop influence throughout these choruses with how catchy they are, but these hooks will just stay in your head. It's still got some heavier moments as well, so it's not like this is a pop album, but there are still those moments. They're not afraid to show their different sides of their sound. I will say this is not the best thing they've ever done, far from it, but it's still a very solid addition to their discography. Just missed out on my top 25, but I wanted to at least mention one symphonic metal album for the year, and this one is the highlight in that subgenre, at least to me. Next honorable mention, Hax Process with Beyond What Eyes Can See. So this is some US progressive death metal. I will say this year I was a little bit let down by death metal output as a whole. There's definitely still a handful of really great death metal releases, but there wasn't necessarily a ton of death metal that like absolutely knocked my socks off. But this is one of the exceptions. I absolutely think this one is a standout death metal release for the year. It's got shades of a band like Morbid Angel, but then think of a more modern band like Blood Incantation going in some progressive directions. But the riffs and songwriting here are just fully fleshed out. All the songs here are very lengthy compositions, and it's just top-notch songwriting. Easily one of the best death metal records of the year, and that's why I had to mention it here. Up next, Helloween, Giants and Monsters. So German power metal legends, one of my all-time favorite bands. I will say this one is not quite on par with the previous album, their self-titled comeback album from a couple years ago, but it's still pretty solid overall. There's a couple songs that maybe hold this back from being as good as it could be. Like there's no epic here that was like Skyfall from the last album, but still as an overall album, it is still a very solid album. I don't think there was a ton of super standout like European power metal albums this year, so I still wanted to mention at least one that deserved mentioning, and Helloween is definitely that. Like I said, it's not my favorite by the band. I think they've done much better. It wasn't quite a top 25 album for me, but nonetheless, it was worth mentioning because there's still a handful of great tracks on here. Up next, Hooded Menace with Lachrymose Monuments of Obscuration. Another one that might be a surprise to you that it's not in my top 25. Just missed out, but that's not to take anything away from this. Finnish Death Doom legends at this point. I mean, putting together an absolutely stacked discography that is pretty flawless. They kind of took the stylings of their last album where it had such a major like heavy metal influence, traditional heavy metal stylings in the riffs, and they brought in more of a gothic touch this time around as well. I do feel like I like the previous record a little bit more than this one, but there's so many killer riffs here. It's not to take away from this album at all. Maybe it's not my favorite thing they've ever done. Got a weird Duran Duran cover on there as well. But nonetheless, it is a solid Death Doom album that I wanted to mention. Next honorable mention is Istap with Soltur Sortna. Probably terribly pronouncing that as well. This is some Swedish melodic black metal. I would say for fans of bands like Vindir or Vintersorg. It's got a great mix of both harsh vocals and clean vocals in their approach, and it mixes so well together. It's got that folky melodicism that you come to expect and love from the band, and this is just a great goddamn album from start to finish. Such great melodies that are going to stick in your head, and the vocal approach is outstanding. Another killer record. Okay, what do we got? Three more honorable mentions here. Up next, One of Nine with Dawn of the Iron Shadow. So this is some more black metal, this time from the USA. Melodic, epic black metal, Tolkien themed. So think for bands, obviously the easy comparison is going to be to a band like Summoning, or maybe a more modern example would be a band like Stormkeep. I absolutely eat up this style of black metal. I love it, and they absolutely delivered on the concept and the album. Knocked it out of the park. Killer stuff. Easily could have been in my top 25 on any given day. I was tinkering with this list a lot. This was like right at the bottom of the list, then I ended up taking it right out, but it's right on the cusp. It's a great album. Up next, Tribunal with Impenitence and Ruin. So this is a sophomore album from these Canadian gothic doomsters, and they absolutely killed it here. I loved their debut album from a few years ago, and I think they took it up a notch here. It mixes the male and female vocals perfectly. You've got the cello. You've got shades of the epic, like, throwback doom bands like My Dying Bride or Draconian. Like, you hear those influences in their sound clearly, but to me, they've really just developed their own style here as well. It's not just piggybacking on the shoulders of the giants of the past. They are doing their own thing, bringing a fresh perspective to modern doom, and to me, it's a clear doom highlight of the year, one of the best doom records from 2025. Last honorable mention before we get into my actual list, Vintersorg with Vattenkraftens Spell. So another project that I've been a fan of for an extremely long time, Swedish Viking folk progressive black metal. I mean, you know him from his time in Borknagar, but his, I'd say, solo work, it's not really a solo work, maybe it started that way, but it's been a couple dudes in the band for a long time now. He just absolutely nails the atmosphere here, the folky melodies that no one does like Vintersorg. Just another great addition to his discography. Sing-alongable choruses, even though I do not speak the language and have no idea what he's singing about, I can still sing them because he's that good at enunciating and at just coming up with vocal lines and vocal melodies. Really what he's known for. Absolutely outstanding. Another one that just missed out on my top 25. So, those are my 10 honorable mentions. I'm going to take another chug of beer, and then we're going to get into my actual top 25. Try to guess what they're going to be while I'm taking a sip of beer. And I think I forgot to mention before that I want your picks of your top 25 or even your top 10, whatever you want to give me down below as well. I love reading what other people's favorites are for the year, and I can't wait to see what yours are, and you're about to find out what mine are. But give me one sec here while I take another sip of beer. Cheers once again. Oh, fuck yeah, that's tasty. That's a good beer right there. Okay. Top 25 of 2025. So if you know me, you know that my favorite subgenre of music is black metal. So I will say about half of this top 25 is black metal, but there's still a handful of other genres sprinkled in here. I think it was an absolutely great year for traditional heavy metal, and my list will reflect that. And then I've still got a few other sprinkles in there as well. Enough rambling though, we're already over 10 minutes into this video and I haven't even started my top 25, so get on with it, Hammerheart. Here we go. 25th place, Gjendod with the album Svekkelse. So this is some Norwegian black metal, second wave stylings, but what makes them unique is the very bass forward sound that they have. The bass really shines. It's so audible. You can hear it in every song. It plays its own riffs. It's not always necessarily just going along with the rhythm guitar, but it's just really where the bass work shines, the guitar still plays off it so well as well. Like, it's a nice mix of faster paced tempos, and then they aren't afraid to slow it down with different types of riffs. It's folky when it needs to be. Got some acoustic flourishes as well, even amongst the mostly raging black metal, but such a well executed black metal release. Just cracked my list, could have been even higher, but yeah, a killer black metal album. Up next in 24th, Wings of Steel with Winds of Time. So this is some US heavy metal, if you're unfamiliar with them, think of bands like Crimson Glory or Queensryche or Riot, and you kind of know the sound they're going for here. This sounds like it's from the heyday in the 80s, even though it is from 2025. If you have never heard them before, go check out the title track that opens up this album. 11 minutes of just epic, classic heavy metal. You've got just ripping solos, great soaring vocals, and just great thrashy, classic heavy metal riffs as well. It's everything that I seek in this style. This album's not just about the opening track, but that's really the highlight. There's still great songs peppered throughout this album as well. Just all in all, a killer heavy metal release. Up next in 23rd, Lamp of Murmuur with the Dreaming Prince in Ecstasy. So this is a one-man band from the USA. This is raw black metal, but he brings in a unique gothic flair as well. I love his approach this time around on this album, where his last album was straight up immortal worship, and I didn't like that one as much, even though it was still full of great songs and great riffs. It felt a little too copycat for my tastes, but here he has brought back his uniqueness that was present on some of his earlier releases. Yes, you've still got those raging black metal rippers of songs, but he brings in some progressive and goth rock touches throughout the rest. You've got the title track trilogy here, which is really the highlight of this album in my opinion. Designed as one song, but split into three for appropriate reasons based on the directions that the song goes. But yeah, you've got like those goth rock touches, the progressive rock touches, and it just really knocks it out of the park. My only real complaint about this album is that it doesn't go out with a bang. The last track kind of fades out with a whimper. It's not my favorite. It's a bit of a letdown, but the rest of the album is so damn good that it's still easily made my top 25, Lamp of Murmuur. Up next in 22nd, Behölder with their debut full-length In the Temple of the Tyrant. This is some epic doom metal mixed with power metal. They're from the USA. This features the vocalist from Judicator, a great US power metal band. If you're unfamiliar, go check out Judicator. They also had a great album from this year. So yeah, I just love the combo of power metal mixed in with epic doom, two genres that I absolutely love, and it doesn't happen often that bands can successfully merge those two genres, but there are some. Think of bands like Sorcerer or Memento Mori, and then you've still got like the throwback sounds to a band like Candlemass. They really know what they're doing here. They know the sound that they're going for, and they absolutely nailed it. It's got the heavy, crushing, slower paced doom riffs with nice solos thrown in and vocals that just really carry the fantasy theme of the album throughout. I absolutely love this one. A great debut. Another easy choice for my top 25. Up next in 21st, Hesperia with Fra Li Monti Sibillini, Black Medieval Winter over the Sibylline Mounts. A tongue full of an album title, but yeah, it's a very long album to digest as well. Not just the title, but the music itself. It's over 75 minutes long. This is a one-man atmospheric pagan black metal band from Italy. So the length of the album may not be for everyone. It's full of folky interludes that arguably do they add to the album. I think as a whole, listening to it from front to back, it suits it. If you're just going to go pick out those interludes, yeah, you're probably not going to listen to them on their own. So yeah, you could throw a few complaints here. But all that being said, the longer length, like black metal actual tracks here are so goddamn good. It's got riffs reminiscent of like early Satyricon, the folky interludes and keys that envelop the atmosphere here. Like this reminds me of a band like Evil Feast meets a band like Satyricon with a little bit of summoning influence in there as well. It's just absolutely worth the runtime in my opinion. Not all albums can pull off a 75-minute runtime and keep you engaged, but this one absolutely does. A killer black metal release in 21st place. All right, about every 5 albums or so, I'm definitely going to be taking some more sips of beer because all this talking makes me a thirsty man, and I got to keep it quenched so I can make it through this video. Hopefully I don't run out or I'll be running to the other room to grab another one. All right, let's keep this shit going. Into the top 20 now. 20th place, Jade, Mysteries of a Flowery Dream. So this is atmospheric death metal from Spain. This just really has a majestic atmosphere throughout the album. It's like dripping with grime. It's beautifully haunting, yet crushing and destructive at the same time. It's got this really rich and textured songwriting and soundscape. It's really quite the experience. It's a hard band to describe, but I'm doing my best here. When you hear death metal, it wouldn't necessarily be the sound that you hear on this album, but atmospheric death metal, that is a more apt description here, and there's not too many bands that maybe have this type of sound. And yeah, to me, it's just an experience from start to finish. One of, if not my absolute favorite death metal release of this year. Jade absolutely killed it with this one. Up next in 19th, Century with Sign of the Storm. So Swedish heavy metal, they really made a splash on the scene with their debut album from 2023, The Conquest of Time, which was one of my absolute favorite albums from that year. If you're unfamiliar with this band, be for fans of bands like Heavy Load or Gotham City, like the 80s heavy metal from Sweden. It has that sound nailed perfectly. Here on their sophomore album, they really kept the same style as their debut, didn't necessarily change a whole lot. This is like easy listening heavy metal. It just goes down so smooth, but it's full of absolutely killer riffs. Like some of my favorite heavy metal riffs in the last few years are written by these guys. Just full of hooky songs. If I'm comparing it to the debut, which is just naturally what I do when I'm listening to two albums by the same band, I think I still give the edge to the debut because it just hit me so hard when I didn't really know what to expect with a full length from these guys. Kind of going into this one with expectations, maybe it didn't hit me as hard, but it's not to take anything away from it. The songwriting here is still really stand out. It's just, yeah, got great tracks like Children of the Past, the title track Sign of the Storm. All in all, one of the best traditional heavy metal albums of the year. Century. Up next, one of my favorite bands, Sur, with Amidst the Ruins. So one-man band from Scotland, atmospheric, folky black metal, been around for a long time at this point, and they have pretty much been a staple in my top 10 lists of every year, pretty much every time he puts out a new album. So it's in 18th this year. It didn't quite make my top 10, but that's not to say this isn't a solid release. Just no one does it like Andy Marshall does here with this project. He kind of went back to the longer compositions on this album where the previous album had kind of shortened the song lengths, kind of went back with a throwback style to the earlier albums, but while still keeping the modern sound that he had kind of developed over the last couple albums. But it's still just a truly majestic and transportative trip to Scotland here. Like, you close your eyes and you are just there. Not too many other bands can just transport you to their homeland like Andy does time and time again, and this is just such a memorable album. They even brought in a full-out acoustic song for the first time in their discography, and it works very well. They wanted to try something new, but yeah, the highlights here, the title track, Amidst the Ruins, easily one of the best on the album. Rebirth to close it off as well. All in all, another triumph of atmospheric black metal. Love this band to death. Another solid album. All right, let's keep this moving along. I got more black metal. Big surprise. In 17th, Haimad with their album When Night Rode Across the North. So this is some Swedish melodic black metal. This is technically their debut album, but they have been around quite some time. They had released some demos and then a comeback EP, but this is actually their full-length debut. But with being around so long, you can really tell that they know what they're doing and know exactly the sound that they're going for. Like, this could have been plucked from the mid to late 90s Swedish melodic black metal scene, and I wouldn't have known the difference. It could have been just some long lost album that I had never heard before, because it has that sound perfected, and I absolutely love this style, and I love this album. Got highlights like Where Serpents Wait in Withering Ruins. Great title. Also, the title track here is awesome. Really front to back, this whole album kills. An awesome black metal release. Up next in 16th, Vulture's Vengeance with Dust Age. So this is some heavy metal from Italy. Pure 80s worship here, but they got their own unique flavor to this as well. It has an almost like raw, organic sound to it, but it's so melodious at the same time. Like this, there'll be moments here that remind you of maybe some more unique bands like a Manila Road, but even some moments that remind me of a band like Wasp and maybe a band like Omen. But they have their own flavor here. It's just got this mystical air about it. It's hard to describe, but it's just the way it was recorded. It's not necessarily the songwriting that's mystical, but it's the essence and atmosphere that they somehow evoked when they recorded this album. It just has this really unique sound where it brings familiarity with bands you've heard before, but it also does something different. It's really hard to put my finger on, but it's just a really killer heavy metal album. Favorite songs here, pretty much the whole goddamn album, but Reign of Severance is a standout, and then the closer, It Holds, absolutely beautiful way to wrap up the album. Killer heavy metal in 16th place. All right, that's another 5. Time for another sip of beer, and we're gonna keep this moving along. Cheers to you all once again. All right, so for my top 25 there, I've gone through the first 10 albums. Those are all killer, great albums. But this is kind of where I not drew a line, but these top 15, I think, are a notch above those first 10 that I just talked about. These top 15, it was really hard. Like, even the difference between what I'm putting 15th, 14th, compared to maybe what's in 8th, 9th, 10th, it's minuscule. Like, maybe the top 5 are a notch above, but from here on out, I goddamn love every single one of these albums. This top 15 was really hard to rank, but enough talking once again. I just gotta keep this moving, so I know that's what you're waiting for. So, here we go. In 15th place, Haxkapell with jordens, blod og urgravens grepp. Terrible pronunciation, I am aware, but that's my best that I can do. So this is a one-man Swedish melodic black metal band. This album, I don't even know what else to say. It is so goddamn catchy. The opening track, Satans Rotter, that opening melody, it just kicks off the album in outstanding fashion and sucks you in immediately. Like, one of the best openings to an album by anyone this year. Like, the rest of the album is not a letdown from that, but that opening track just starts so goddamn strong. Just the way he incorporates these folky melodies in is just amazing. There's so much variation here as well from song to song. You got some clean vocals to harsh vocals. Just keeps it fresh and engaging throughout its runtime. Excellent album in 15th place. Up next in 14th, Ambush with Evil in All Dimensions. So sticking with Sweden once again, there's a lot of Sweden peppering these last few picks, but that's just how it goes. Sweden's a great country for heavy metal. And this would be for fans of bands like Enforcer or Accept or Judas Priest. It's just catchy and infectious heavy metal. This is full of metal anthems, whether it's the more speedy tracks with the ripping guitar and solos, or they got some mid-paced anthems, and then you've got your obligatory ballad as well, which actually works pretty well. This just front to back is pretty goddamn fun. It's so catchy and hooky. Yes, there's parts that remind you of other bands, but they're still putting their own stamp on it here. Doesn't always have to be the most original thing when it's executed this well. This is possibly their best album that they've done to date. It's just a really impressive, fun album that's done right. The Night I Took Your Life, that's probably my favorite track on this album. I just can't stop singing it. Even when I was just saying the title, I almost started singing it. The night I took your life away. Don't listen to me. I can't fucking sing. But yeah, catchy as shit chorus. The title track here as well, Evil in All Dimensions. Really, this whole album, it's just a fun goddamn time. Great heavy metal record. Up next in 13th, Blut with the new album Ethereal Horizons. Bet you thought this one was probably going to be in my top 10. And in time, maybe it will. This is the thing when albums only come out near the tail end of the year. I haven't spent nearly as much time with this one as maybe the other ones that are in my top 10. But who knows, this could rise even farther. If you're unfamiliar with this band, from France, avant-garde black metal legends really at this point. Never afraid to switch up their approach from album to album. Like some of their albums, while you can always still tell it's Blut, the sound on one album may be completely different than a sound from another album. For example, this album sounds nothing like their last two albums. This is more on their epic melodic side, which is the style of their music that I personally like way more. This is going to maybe remind you of albums like the Memoria to Vetusta trilogy or Hallucinogen, which are some of my absolute favorite Blutos Nord albums. So that being said, this one is going to be sliding right in there as one of my favorite Blutos Nord albums because it's just executed flawlessly. It's just got such a great atmosphere on this album. I love the way that the album is constructed, and it just, it's hard to describe the emotions that this kind of music brings out. It just takes you on a journey, and no one does it like Vince Val and company here. Favorite tracks, Shadows Breathe First, amazing song. The End Becomes Grace, the closing track here, like 12 minutes or so, absolutely epic. Just another killer addition to their discography. They're one of the best in the business for a reason. Blutos Nord. Up next in 12th, Helms Deep with Chasing the Dragon. So this is some US heavy metal. You could call them US power metal. There's some hints of progressive metal in there as well. Their debut just came out a couple years ago in 2023, Treacherous Ways, and was easily one of my favorites from that year. It's possibly one of my most listened to albums of the last few years. It just absolutely knocked my socks off. It rocked my world. I goddamn love that album. So I went into this one with huge expectations. And this one kind of has gone with a different approach here while still retaining their unique style as well. You've still got the insane vocals where he's not afraid to change pitches on a dime, which just brings a smile to my face every goddamn time. Crazy good guitar licks, both the main riffs as well as the solos. It's got more of an organic production this time around, and kind of like what I said about Century before would apply here as well. This is not a knock on this album. It absolutely is still a killer album, but if I compare it to the debut just hit me so hard because I wasn't expecting it. But going in with expectations, maybe this one hasn't hit me as hard, but it's not to take anything away because this is still absolutely killer stuff from front to back. This is easily becoming one of my favorite bands that's just been established in the last few years. If you're unfamiliar with them, go check out both their albums. Highlights here, Black Sephiroth, Cursed, another one that you will just be singing along to nonstop. Amazing stuff. Okay, one more before we get into the top 10. In 11th place, Havukruunu with Tavastland. So pagan black metal from Finland. Definitely one of my favorite active or modern black metal bands, if you will. This is full length number 4, and they have yet to disappoint. Throw in some EPs there as well. Just absolutely killer. They've got their own style of epic, heroic riffing. It's so triumphant. Think epic Bathory meets the more epic side of Immortal, and that might give you some idea of what they sound like. They've got even some heavy metal tendencies with some of the riffing in there, albeit in a black metal direction. They just bring their typical Finnish fire to this stuff. It's triumphant and exhilarating. They're not afraid to throw in a flashy guitar lead here and there to really add some flourish to it as well. This easily could have been in my top 10. Putting it in 11th is not an insult. It's a compliment because all these albums kick ass. So yeah, I'm going to take another sip of beer and then we're going to get into the best of the best. My favorite 10 albums from 2025. So here we go. Starting to run out of beer, but maybe I can make these last few sips last 10 more albums. We shall see. All right, kicking off my top 10. Remina or Remina, I'm not sure on the pronunciation, with The Silver Sea. So this is something completely different than maybe the last few albums that I've talked about. This band is from New Zealand, and this is atmospheric, cosmic, gothic doom. Very unique. I don't know anything else that sounds exactly like this. They are really doing their own thing here. This features Mike Lamb from Sojourner, which is an atmospheric black metal band that I've been a fan of for a very long time. And then on vocals, it features Heike, who used to be in Draconian. So if you know the last couple of Draconian albums, you'll really know her voice. And it's so stand out and just gorgeous. Her voice is so soothing and ethereal. It's just hauntingly beautiful. It just washes over you and transports you away. It just sucks you in with this atmosphere here. This music is like a warm cosmic blanket, if you will. It's really hard to describe. Like, you have to just go listen to it. It's full of synths and electronica influences as well, which maybe isn't something that I generally gravitate towards, but it's so well done here, and I just fell in love with this album. It's like, while it's soothing, it's still haunting at the same time. It's just done so well. It's got a great mix of different styles here as well, maybe some goth rock influence in spots, but then bringing in the heavier doom, just washing you over with this ethereal soundscape that, like I said, is hard to describe. You just have to go experience this for yourself. Hard to pick out favorite songs, but I'll pick a couple anyway. Vanta Ray features the vocalist from Scale, another excellent band, and the duet between him and Heike just works so well. Easily a standout on this album. And probably my favorite is the closing track, Silence and the Silver Sea. If you're unfamiliar with this band, go check out that song to really get what I'm talking about. Sometimes just describing words don't really paint a fair picture of what the music is. This is just a killer cosmic doom album that you should definitely be checking out. All right, up next in 9th, Zycridius with La Grande Heresy. So this is a one-man band from up here in Canada. Over in Quebec, the man behind the band is Phil Tugis, who is in a million bands such as Atramentus, Worm. He used to be in Eternity's End, so he's not afraid to try out a bunch of different genres. Eternity's End was a great power metal band. Well, they're still a great power metal band. He's just not in them anymore. But then you've got the doomier side, you've got the black metal side, and this band is a good representation of him not being afraid to try different genres, because this is a very hard one to pinpoint. This is like blackened, heavy, epic thrash, if you will. It's just such a great mix of genres here. Think a band like Running Wild meets a band like Hellstar, but then throw in some Greek black metal influence like a band like Rotting Christ in there as well, and then throw bass solos on top of that. It is so goddamn unique, but just so well executed. Lengthy song compositions, but it's just such a fun genre mix. I don't often hear like a band that on one hand reminds me of Running Wild and then reminds me of another like Greek black metal band. Like, it just doesn't usually work like that, but they really made it happen here. There's doomier moments, and like the bass solos are really what shines here. It's such a different approach to just having these bass solos on full display. Like, I'll give him full credit here for doing something different. I won't say this is the best album ever. Maybe there's a few flaws here and there, but I have such a fun time every time I listen to this. It's just front to back, a very solid album. I can't wait to see where it goes next, to see if he even further develops this sound. But yeah, I applaud him for this excellent album. Up next in 8th, Obsidian Tongue with Eclipsing Worlds of Scorn. So there's some US atmospheric black metal. This features some great musicians. You got the drummer from Falls of Rhoros. You've got the bass player from Eve and Namebearer. And then the main man behind the band is also in Namebearer. And what originally drew me to this band is that he used to play in Throssenblot, who's one of my favorite Canadian bands. So yeah, that's the lineup as a whole. But let's talk about the music itself. This is another album that is really standing out for how much variation there is from song to song. Yes, you can paint the picture of atmospheric black metal here, but there's so many other things happening here, whether it's the post-metal influence in a song like To Forgive Oneself, or just the raging emotion in a song like Orphan Spiritual Warrior. It all just works amazingly well. Like, they know what they're going for here, and they absolutely nail it. It's got some progressive influence, some even like psychedelic moments, if you will. Got the harsh vocals and the clean vocals. Like I said, just a great mix of everything thrown together here, and just really great compositions and songwriting, and that's what really makes this stand out. Easily one of my favorite black metal records of the year. Clearly, I'm putting it in my top 10, so I think pretty highly of it. But yeah, a killer album. Up next in 7th, Phantom Spell with Heather and Hearth. So this is some UK progressive hard rock, heavy metal, if you will. The man behind the band, Kyle McNeil, also plays in Seven Sisters. This is him doing his solo thing here. And man, like, this dude just knows how to compose very compelling music. There are so many moments on this record that are just stuck in my head. This is full of 70s prog rock influence. Like that's the main base of the sound here, if you will, but then bring in some like classic heavy metal guitar licks on top and guitar leads, and that's just kind of the sound that he has going for him here. It's very unique, and like it's just really stands out with combining the 70s prog rock here with traditional heavy metal. Like, it's just a sight to behold. This is damn good stuff. I run out of words to describe some of these albums after I just keep saying how good everything is. But you got the opening 12-minute epic, The Autumn Citadel, probably my favorite track on the album. And then there's a few songs that are shorter length, and then it ends on an 11-minute epic as well, the title track. So yeah, it's only like 5 tracks, but this is just a goddamn great record. Even if you usually don't check out this style or this genre, I suggest you change that and go listen to this one because it might just knock your socks off. Up next in 6th, Ereb Altor with Halsingemorker. Probably mispronouncing that as well, so I apologize once again. I try my best. Swedish Viking black metal. This band started out more in like the epic doom style, but they've gradually changed or morphed into more of the black metal side of things. I would never call this like pure black metal. That's not what it is. They call themselves Scandinavian metal. That's probably the best description here. I have been a huge fan of this band for a very long time, whether it's their epic doom beginnings or their more Viking metal later era. Like, I hate to just say Viking metal. That's not a good descriptor, but nonetheless, they just really hit it out of the park with this album. It's epic as hell. You've got standout moments like the opening track, Valkyrian Fate, brings in an almost like heavy metal style with some of the riffs, but then you got the harsher black metal stylings with the vocals, and it just goes so many different places as well. The closer, The Last Step, ends the album perfectly. Like, it's just a mammoth song to close off the album here. It just, yeah, it's got like adventurous moments. It's got more mournful moments. It just honestly is probably going to go down as one of their best. I expect no less from this band at this point. They never disappoint me, and this is one of their best albums in recent years for sure. Ereb Altor. All right, we got 5 more to go. I know this is a long video. Hopefully you've stayed through it with me, and you're going to stay tuned for 5 more. But I'm going to take another sip here. All right. 5 more. What's it going to be? I'll give you a second to try to guess. If you've been watching my channel all year, you could probably guess a couple of these. Maybe not all 5, but let's find out. In 5th place, Bloody Valkyria with In Our Home Across the Fog. So another one-man band, this time from Finland. This is melodic black metal with a nice dose of dungeon synth. And I would even say, well, it's classified as melodic black metal. There's a nice dose of like Finnish mellow death here as well. Excuse me, too much beer too quickly. This is their 2nd superb album in as many years, which is impressive in and of itself. The debut from last year was all about Middle-earth themes, and this time it's all about Elden Ring themes. So I can't wait to see what he does on the 3rd album. But yeah, the synth here is just used to create these extra textures and build the atmosphere. And he just knows how to write a good tune. Not all the songs are long this time around, but there's just such good moments here as well. I guess the only drawback or negative on this would maybe be the programmed drums. If he had a real drummer, it would probably add a little more of an organic sound to it, which could elevate this even further. But honestly, this is just such a goddamn great album. You got tracks like Imbued with the Rune of Death. Excellent. May Chaos Take the World has one of my favorite riffs of the year. That's easily my favorite track on the album. It's like 12 minutes long. Just a goddamn epic. Honestly, can't wait to see what this guy does next. Is he going to put out a 3rd album in 3 years next year? I guess we'll see. I sure hope so, because I'll be strongly anticipating it. All right, up next in 4th is an album that I have not mentioned on this channel at all this year. It was one that was recommended to me in, I don't know, months ago by one of my viewers. So that's why I want recommendations from you, because honestly, when I check them out and it ends up being this good, that's what it's all about. But I'm getting off track here. In 4th place, Scare or Scare, I don't know the pronunciation, with I Taka Humans Jupe. So this is kind of a band shrouded in mystery. Doesn't really have any info out there about who's in it. From everything that I can find about the band, it seems like maybe it's a one-man band from the UK, but nonetheless, whoever's in it, wherever they're from, doesn't matter. It's just a great goddamn black metal album here. This is full of great riffs and folksy melodies. This is very reminiscent of like the early era of Enslaved. Like there's moments here that really bring me back to an album like Eld, which is my absolute favorite Enslaved album, and albums like Frost and Vikinglingar Veldi. Like it has that vibe to it. So if you like early Enslaved, go check out this album. There's just so many great moments. One of my favorite riffs and moments of the entire year is in their song here. Why can't I remember what the song is called? Mirrored by the Walls of Stone. Yeah, I knew I wrote it down. The third track here has one of my favorite riffs and just sections out of any song this year. It's just so damn good. It's got this great infusion of clean vocals throughout their album as well with the harsh black metal vocals, and it's just really fluid compositions that aren't afraid to go some different directions, full of these melodic lines, and the whole tone and atmosphere of the album is just captured perfectly here. It's just a stunning black metal triumph. So to you that recommended this to me, thank you very much, because it has turned out to be one of my absolute favorites of the year. So yeah, cheers to you. All right, we got 3 more. In third place, Fer de Lance with Fires on the Mountainside. So this is some US epic heavy metal, epic doom. The key word when I talk about this band is epic, for sure. This is their sophomore album, and while I loved their debut album, this one really was a huge glow up. Honestly, this is just crazy good. For fans of bands like Atlantean Codex or Ereb, Altor or Bathory, stuff in that vein, this one even throws in some like raspy black metal-esque vocals in a few spots. Like they weren't afraid to try some different approaches here. 13-minute opening track here, the title track, Fires on the Mountainside, is probably my favorite song by anyone this whole year. So don't take that lightly. That is a huge compliment that I can give. It's hard to pick one song for a year by anyone, but if I had to, that's the one. It is such a goddamn good song. It's so stellar, epic as all fuck. But it's not just that song that makes this album good. Front to back, this is killer. Children of the Sky and Sea is a great song as well. Like this album has the heavier doom moments, but it also has the epic heavy metal moments. It's just goddamn amazing. Love this album. All right, 2 more. In second place, I am actually going with an EP. I usually don't include EPs on my list unless it is something that is absolutely killer, and that's the case here. I'm talking about Valdrin with Apex Violator. So, US melodic black metal. If you're unfamiliar with the band, think a band like Dissection meets a band like Emperor, and then throw in some like chaos of a band like Endless Dismal Moan, and that's kind of the approach that you might have here. All their albums are about this self-created lore. I actually did a whole video about Valdrin and their self-created lore earlier this year, so if you're interested, go check out that video so you can kind of get the whole concept and story, because I'm not going to spend half an hour talking about that right now. I just want to focus on the music itself. But yeah, this EP is probably them at their most chaotic and most furious. Like this is just so aggressive, yet still has that keen sense of melody as well. Like even though they're getting really aggressive with it, they still know how to infuse it with the melody as well. It just sounds dangerous and forebodingly evil. This is the follow-up to one of my favorite black metal albums of the last like 5 years, even go farther back than that. Throne of the Lunar Soul from 2023, probably my favorite album from that year that I keep going back to. So that one was like a 75-minute album. This one's like half an hour. Hard to compare those. I don't know as this one necessarily surpasses Throne of the Lunar Soul, but it's a different approach, and they are just truly building an amazing discography at this point. Like this band is easily one of my favorite black metal bands at the moment. They just can do no wrong, and I can't see where this concept story goes next on future releases. Can't wait. Picking favorite songs here is tough because the whole thing kicks ass, but Black Imperial Smoke, The Muttering Derelict, all in all, goddamn amazing. So, that leaves one. I'm going to take one more sip of beer here, and then we're going to get into this one last album to give you one last chance to guess what it is. See if you can figure it out. It's not black metal, so take another second to think about it. All right, so with that in mind, what could it be? Let's find out right now. I may have hinted at it earlier without trying to give it away. Seven Sisters with Shadow of a Fallen Star Part 2. So this is the follow-up to their Part 1 of the same album name from 2021. This is UK traditional heavy metal. Upstarts that are just really taking over the scene, in my opinion. This is just heavy metal guitar heaven. I cannot get enough of the guitar playing on this album. It's full of melodic twin leads throughout the entire goddamn album. That's just what they're known for. Twin lead or no lead, I think is what they say. But yeah, the guitar work here just shines so bright. But it's not just about the guitar. The songwriting here is really what draws you in as well. Choruses that you will be humming in perpetuity. I can't get these songs out of my head, and I don't want to because they're that goddamn good. This is only 4 tracks and it's 38 minutes, but it's so good. 20-minute closing track here, Andromeda Descending is just epic as hell. It goes so many different places. There's so many little sections there that I could highlight as, oh, that's my favorite riff. No, that one is. Oh, that's solo shreds. It's just so goddamn good. And that might not even be my favorite track on the album. You got Solar Winds, Heart of the Sun. I guess there's only 4 tracks, so I'll name all of them. But this whole damn album just kicks so much ass. In a year of absolutely great albums, this one reigns supreme in my opinion. It just, since it came out, I have not been able to stop listening to it. Back when it came out, I had a tentative year-end list going, which I kind of do throughout the year, and it has not been knocked off that perch since that time. And that's truly a sign of a great album. I'm sure I will be listening to the shit out of this one for years to come, much like I did with Part 1, but I think this one even exceeds Part 1. So yeah, that is my list. Hopefully you could have got a few new recommendations from these picks, and I can't wait to read yours down below. I know this is an extremely long video. Hopefully you stayed with me until the end. If not, your loss, I guess. I don't know what to say anymore. I've been talking for 50 minutes. That's too long. It's time to wrap it up. It's probably my only video for the month. So I'm looking forward to kicking it off next year with some new stuff. So until then, keep chugging beer. Keep the metal faith alive. Hammerheart Metal Reviews. Out.